Welcome back, you sweetest potatoes. A few weeks ago, I made a video on the single most important habit that helped me change the way I view habits altogether by creating a system instead of setting hard goals. As a few of you suggested, I'd like to expand on the point of how to create your own system for optimal productivity, peace, and calm. Here's a quick refresher of the difference between systems and goals. In Scott Adams' book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, he explains that a goal is a specific objective that you either achieve or don't sometime in the future. A system is something you do on a regular basis that achieves your odds of happiness in the long run. If you do something every day, it's a system. If you're waiting to achieve it someday in the future, it's a goal. As explained in James Clear's Atomic Habits, a goal is a result you want to achieve. A system is a process that leads you to those results. To take it a step further, think of it this way. Systems versus goals is like journey versus destination, practice versus performance, long-term versus short-term. All that being said, goals are still great and amazing starting points and North Stars for building out your systems and habits. We'll go over how to do this in a hot second. An example of system versus goals that we're all too familiar with is keeping a tidy space. In the previous video, I talked about how if you have an untidy space, which I always do, you'd set a goal to clean your place, say once every 1 or 2 weeks. Once you accomplish this goal, the result you get is a clean room. Temporarily, until it's messy again, because your habits of not putting things back where they belong haven't changed. The outcome or output will always be the same because the system or input didn't change. So in today's video, we'll go over how to change our outputs by changing our system of inputs in 4 steps, and how I'm setting up my system of keeping my space tidy and organized for the long run. There are always opportunities to learn and improve on this beautiful journey that is our life. But in order to do so, we need to first reflect on where we currently are and where we ultimately want to go. Doing this will help you gain a clear understanding of where you want to be, what you want to achieve, and most importantly, why you're doing anything in the first place. A great framework to try is the current state versus desired state gap analysis. It's very similar to Eileen from Lavender's current me versus future me exercise that I'll link down below. First, take a look at your current situation. Ask yourself, how am I currently living my life right now? How am I feeling? Am I content? Why or why not? How am I spending my time? Who am I surrounding myself with? What kind of thoughts are occupying my mental capacity? What's currently driving me? There's many questions that you guys can ask yourself about the different pillars of your life, from relationships to work to school to health to spirituality, anything. Once you have a good understanding of where you currently are, think about your desired situation by answering the same questions above. In an ideal world, how would I be living my life? And if you want to take this section to the next level, you can continue chipping away at this by asking yourself, why do I have this desired state? What is it rooted in? Is it essential? Are these my values? Does it align with what I truly want? And you can refine and iterate and keep asking yourself this question until you get the most satisfactory answer for your desired state. Once you've identified your current state as well as your desired state, it's time to look at the gap between these 2 states. Why does it exist? And why do you want to close it? For this exercise, you can go as broad and macro as setting up a system for your life, or go as narrow and micro as setting up a system for a very specific aspect of your life. So for me, the current state of my space has been perpetually messy. I'm constantly bringing home skincare from the office and scattering it all over my apartment, from the dining table to my kitchen counter to my bedroom table to all over my sink. Over time, this has grown to become a very accurate reflection of my mental state. Scattered and unstructured. So what is my desired state? My desired state is to keep a clean and tidy space where I won't have to constantly spend weekends or nighttime picking up after myself, feeling frustrated and overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff and things that I have lying around my apartment. I like to be able to come home to an organized and clutter-free home after a long day at the office, so that I can go straight into unplugging, unwinding, and relaxing without feeling anxious over a laundry list of chores that I still have to do. Now, why does this gap currently exist between current and desired? Because I keep telling myself I don't have time. It hasn't been a priority, and I don't have a good system in place. Number one, I have too many things. Number two, I don't have a home for all of my things. And number three, although I've gotten much better at putting things back where they belong, whenever I get tired, piles of things just start accumulating and it just kind of never ends from there. So why do I want to close this gap? To save time and get that mental clarity that comes from a tidy and well-organized space. To summarize the importance of identifying your why, having a solid why and being grounded in your North Star will help you stay motivated and focused. This means your why needs to be powerful and compelling enough to you so that it can keep you on track, even when it's cloudy out, even when it's raining out, even when you're lost in a forest. Your North Star should be shining bright. Now that we've identified where we are and where we want to go, we can start working backwards to figure out how we can get from our current state to our desired state. How can I close the gap between my current state of being messier than I like and my desired state of keeping my space clean and tidy throughout the week? If I'm being honest, this one's pretty straightforward. I clean my space, and more specifically, I come up with a system to clean my space, which we'll get into in the next section. So clearly identifying the why will help with defining the how, which will help you execute your what. And this is from Start With Why by Simon Sinek, one of my favorite books of all time. All right, so we've identified our current and desired state and defined how we can bridge the gap between the two states. Now it's time to come up with a plan of action and get to the doing. What will you have to do in order to achieve the desired state? What are the actionable steps you can take? Where can you make adjustments? And what small daily incremental changes can you commit to? To tackle having too much stuff, my why would be making time, sitting down, pulling everything out, taking an inventory of all of my stuff, keeping what I need, tossing what's expired, giving away what I don't need, and bringing extra things that I have to the office. As for creating a home for all of my things, I'd have to first find a home for all of said things that I decide to keep so that I can implement my 2-minute rule throughout the day, every single day, and get in a better habit of putting things back where they belong on the spot instead of putting it off until the weekend, which turns into the rest of the month, which turns into the rest of the year. So overall, in life, executing your what is pivotal, because if we're constantly dreaming in the clouds, nothing will actually get done. So it's all about thinking less, doing more. Now that we have a pretty solid system in place, it's time to start assessing, adjusting, and enjoying the process. Don't be afraid to take a step back and make changes to your system if you need. Celebrate the small wins and remember that your systems and your habits are unique to you. Build system because you want to build them, not because you see people around you building them. Choose habits that best suit you and your needs, not what is currently trending and popular, being propagated by online potatoes like me. If you'd like to lose a few pounds, create a system where you limit sugar intake, opt for stairs over escalators, add more veggies to your diet, or find some activity you genuinely enjoy doing. For example, if you don't like running, you can try swimming. If you don't like swimming or running, you can try rock climbing. Or if you don't like any of the above, you can try Stairmasters or Pilates or yogas. There's so many things we can do nowadays that can help us sweat a little more throughout the day, even just opting to walk more over sitting at your desk. If you like to deepen your relationship with your friends, you can create a system where you leave your phone out of sight during meals. You can actively listen during conversations and follow up with asking deep and meaningful and great questions. If you like to be more calm and at peace, create a system where you write down 3 things you're grateful for every morning, spend 5 minutes meditating daily, or simply breathe more throughout the day. I think breathing, the act of breathing, is such an underrated thing. And lastly, if you like to become a lifelong learner, create a system where you set aside 10 minutes a day to read, commit to learning something new every day on platforms like Skillshare, or simply follow your curiosity and Google away. Whenever you're wondering, allow yourself time to wonder, because I remember reading an article recently that we don't wonder anymore because things like Google exist. But I also feel like it's important to chase your curiosity and to find out the ponderings that you have in your head. So let yourself wonder, have these thoughts, and then can Google to figure out why the world works the way it works, or why certain animals look a certain way, or how, I don't know. Yeah, Okay, so quoting James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, remember the purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. True long-term thinking is goal-less thinking. It's not about any single accomplishment. It's about this cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement. Ultimately, it is your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. So commit to the process, identify your why, define your how, execute your what, and continually assess and adjust as you go along this wonderful journey. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community offering thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people like you. If you're watching this, that's you, on topics including illustration, design, photography, video, freelancing, and so much more. Most classes are under 60 minutes with short lessons to fit any schedule. So if you want to do 10 minutes a day within a week, you can finish a class. My favorite courses are Drawing as Self-Discovery with Mari Andrews, who's an all-around amazing and crazy inspirational human. I've fallen in love with her blurbs and doodles on Instagram ever since I took her course. There's also Digital Illustrative Typography with Jeanette Liao. She's a dear friend of mine and one of the most creative and boss humans I know. She inspired me to get an iPad and start playing around with Adobe Fresco, which is what you guys will see throughout this video. All the doodles is made from this. Personal branding with Kay Aarons is also really amazing. This class inspired me to create this video all about how I'm approaching my personal brand refresh. If this is something you're interested in, an annual subscription to Skillshare is less than $10 a month, and the first 500 people to click the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity and get to becoming a lifelong learner. And with that, thank you guys so much for joining me. Here's a voice hug, as always, and I will see you next week. Hee hee. Okay, bye.